Hi, and thanks for joining me today for a really fun activity inspired by Andy Warhol. We're going to make our own pop art. To do this, we're going to use the Keynote app on our iPads and we're going to follow 5 simple steps. In step number 1, we're going to take a selfie using the camera in Keynote, and we're then going to reposition it and lock it on the page. In step number 2, we're then going to take that locked picture and we're going to use our Logitech crayon or the Apple Pencil to then trace around the edge of our face. Then, coming into step number 3, we're going to make 4 copies of this drawing, and we're going to colour each one in a different way. That means by the time we get to step number 4, we're going to have 4 vibrant, colourful self-portraits, and we're going to export them all as individual images. And finally, in step number 5, we're going to bring those images back into Keynote, we're going to arrange them on a page like a classic pop art picture, and we're going to save that as one finished image. Here's an example that I've made, and you'll be watching me make this over the course of the quick lesson today. By the end of this video, you too will have a picture that looks just as cool as this one. And all you're going to need is an iPad with Keynote installed, and an Apple Pencil, Logitech crayon or a stylus of some kind to draw with. You can draw with your finger, but you'll find it a lot easier using a stylus for this, as it will get quite detailed. Well, we've got what we need. We're excited to go, I hope. So let's get started. Okay, step number 1. We're going to open up the Keynote app, and we're going to create a new blank presentation. I'm going to go for the plain white theme, and when I open it I'm going to delete my 3 text boxes. That will give me a nice clean empty page to get started. So let's go to the top corner and press that plus button, and we're going to go down to camera. At this point it's time to pose for your selfie. Put whatever face you want, it could be a smiling face, a serious face, whatever you want, and when you're done press the camera button. Okay, now our photo is taken, we're going to go into the format paintbrush in the top right corner of Keynote. Then we're going to go on to Style and drag the opacity bar down to about 40%. That will make your picture quite see-through and quite pale, but that will make it easier to draw over as well. Then we're going to switch across to the Arrange tab, and we're going to make sure we lock that picture in place. Feel free to pause here for a minute or two while you go and get your selfie, and when it's in position, opacity lowered, and is locked, we can move on to step number 2. Okay, in step number 2, we're going to start drawing around our picture. And to do this, we're going to tap our stylus onto the page, that will bring up the drawing tools, and I'm going to go onto the pen tool. I want to make sure the pen tool is in a medium weight, and I'm going to make sure I've chosen black as well for my outline colour. Then we're going to start drawing around the face. I would strongly suggest you start by doing the shape of your face first, and then you start adding in the details afterwards. This drawing doesn't have to be perfect. It's going to be a close enough version of you, but it's never going to look as good as like a real photograph, so don't worry if you make a few mistakes. I'm going to make sure my hair, my eyebrows, my beard, my nose, all of those objects are drawn separately, and I'm going to do my glasses as well. Don't forget you can zoom in to do more detail, so on my glasses I'm going to then make sure I do an outline of the inside and the outside of my glasses frame. That means I can then use a colour to fill that glasses frame later. You can do as much or as little detail as you want at this stage, but I would recommend that you try and draw complete shapes with your pen. So don't just leave gaps everywhere, try and connect the edges where you can. And that brings you on to a really good top tip. Make sure you zoom out a little bit, and then you set the pen colour to white. Then you're going to draw a box around the entire page, but slightly bigger than the page itself. Then the last step of my trick is to join any connecting lines that go off the page to this new box. It's perhaps a bit strange looking, but what that means is you can then use the flood fill colour to do the background as well as the actual face itself. It will save you loads of time later, I promise. The last thing to do is to press done in the top left to leave the drawing mode, to drag your drawing off the page slightly so you can unlock the original photograph, delete the original picture, and then put your drawing back in place. Now you should have a plain white slide with your pen drawing in black lines on top, ready for stage 3. Yep, I know there's a lot in that step, wasn't there? So why don't you pause the video now, have as long as you need, I can wait for you, and then when you're ready we'll move on to step number 3. Okay, now we're ready to start adding some colour. But before we do, we want to make sure we've got 4 separate pictures to colour in. So on the left hand side, where you've got the little slide browser, tap onto your slide with the drawing on, and then you can press duplicate. Tap on it again and press duplicate, and tap on it again and press duplicate, and that will give you 4 slides with that black and white drawing ready to be coloured in. The colouring is the really fun part in my opinion. We're going to choose bold, bright colours just like Andy Warhol used in his own pop art, and we're going to put a spin on it ourselves by choosing colours from a similar colour palette. So for me, my first page is going to have a bright yellow background. So I'm going to go on my paint tube, choose yellow, and then tap to fill in the background. I want to make sure I pick a colour that contrasts nicely with the yellow for my face and for my body, and I'm going to choose a bright blue colour. I'm going to do all of my skin tone in this blue, and then I'm going to use lighter and darker shades of blue from that same column in the colour picker for the rest of the detail. You may notice when you use that fill tool that it leaves a few gaps here and there. That's because Keynote is actually trying to work out where you want the colour to go, and it's being a little bit cautious in case you hadn't filled a shape in. We can actually fix that quite easily by using our pencil or our stylus and just drawing a little circle whilst on the paint tube. That will then fill in the middle of that shape rather than the area you've tapped on, just like this on the screen now. So you can draw a little circle around any areas that perhaps haven't been coloured in to make sure they're filled as well. I'm going to use different shades of blue from the same colour picker to do the rest of the detail. Maybe some darker colours for the hair, maybe some lighter colours for the clothing. Pick what colours works best for you. Be prepared to use the paint fill tool in slightly different ways as you go. Tapping on areas will work for the most of your portrait, but you will need to then drag and draw a little shape to fill in certain gaps like I showed you earlier. Carry on this process until your whole picture is completely coloured, and then we'll move on to the second slide. Now obviously you can choose any colour combinations you want for your own pop art picture, but what I'm going to do with my second slide is I'm going to invert the blue and yellow I just had. So before I had yellow on the background and blue on the person, this time I'm going bright blue on the background and different shades of yellow on the person. I'm going to speed the video up now so you can see me colouring this in, and when I get onto slide 3 and slide 4, I'm going to use reds and greens as well to give a completely different colour palette for those two pictures. Okay, I've sped that up quite a lot, but hopefully you can see those pictures coming together really nicely. If I then tap on my slide browser through slides 1, 2, 3 and 4, you'll see those different colours and vibrant pictures really pop out of the screen. You don't need to rush that stage, so pause the video here, take the time you need to get all of your colours done and looking really vibrant, and we'll go on to step 4 when you're ready. In step 4, we're going to export those 4 slides as images, and we're going to do that really simply by pressing the 3 dots in the top right corner of Keynote, going down to Export and then choosing Images. On the next screen, make sure you're on JPEG highest quality, and make sure your slide range includes all 4 of your pictures. Tap Export, and then you're going to share them by saving them to the photo library. That's quite a nice short step, but again you can pause the video here while you export your pictures, and we'll move on to step number 5 when you're ready. We're nearly done, so let's make a new blank slide by pressing the plus button and choosing the blank slide. And then we're going to import those 4 pictures back into this one slide. So press the plus button in the top right corner, go onto the photo album, and then you can do it one by one on those 4 pictures. I'll import the first one, then I'll press the plus button and import the second one, and so on and so on. It'll put those 4 pictures on top of each other, and that's exactly where we need them for the moment. I'm then going to tap and hold just off the edge of my slide and drag my finger across the pictures. That will select all 4 pictures in one go, and on that little pop-up toolbar I can then press Group. When they're grouped, I can resize all 4 pictures at the same time. So I'm going to resize them to be roughly 1/4 of my slide size. When I've done that, tap on Ungroup, and then you can tap off of them completely to deselect them all. One by one you can now move those pictures apart, and you can position them in a 2x2 grid. Don't worry if it doesn't fill your slide, if it's too small or too big, because when all 4 pictures are together, you're going to tap and hold again in a blank space and slide your finger across all 4 to select all 4. Then you're going to group them one more time. At this point you can resize your group to make them bigger or smaller to perfectly fit your slide. And that's it, your pop art is done. Tap on the 3 dots, go to Export and export an image, and this time on the slide range you just want that last slide, so 5 to 5, and share that to your photo album. Then when you go into Photos, you'll have your 4 individual pictures and your pop art masterpiece at the end. And that's it. Hopefully by this point in the video you've made your own pop art masterpiece, and I bet it looks really great. So to recap, we have used Keynote entirely to make this pop art picture. We've snapped a selfie of the camera, we've outlined it using the pen tool, we've duplicated that outline and we've coloured each one in contrasting colour combinations, then we've exported and imported, and finally arranged our pictures to make one piece of pop art. Lots of steps, but a great product at the end, and I hope you've made something you're proud of. Let me know how you got on in the comments down below, and if you can, you could even share it on Twitter with the hashtag #QuickLessons as well. That's it from me for today. I hope you've enjoyed this quick lesson, and make sure you like the video and subscribe to my channel so you get all the next quick lessons as and when they're released. Until next time, take care.